So over the last few years, I've noticed that black people, they don't want to push the positive narrative. They only want to push the negative narrative. I've noticed over the last few years, I've seen and experienced slyly and blatantly that black people don't want to push the positive narrative. They only want to push the negative narrative. So, not that I could find the comments, but I've seen a few comments on TikTok over the last few months and that, and certain man, they've said, oh, why don't you jump on this podcast, or why don't you jump on that podcast? You'll be perfect for it. And I ain't gonna even look for the comments because I wouldn't be able to find it anyway to respond to. But even if I did know where to find the comment to respond to, I wouldn't, because I ain't gonna put no one's podcast or YouTube channel in the mix. But a couple men have said to me, oh, why don't you go on this podcast, that podcast, and that. You know, the hosts of these podcasts, they know who I am, you know. Like, I can think of 3 right now that have podcasts. I know one of them definitely knows who I am, because one of them has actually posted one of my old school videos on their Instagram page. Our next one, I've left a comment underneath the video. Like me, I'll never ask to go on no one's podcast and that, but I've left a comment underneath the video. And then another one, I know someone somewhere must have sent one of my videos to this guy, like, yo, you should get this guy on, yeah, because he is perfect. Like, yeah, man ain't done no long prison sentences or nothing like that, but man's still a reformed criminal, you understand? And yeah, man don't get no invite or nothing like that. And I know it's because they don't want to push this narrative that you can come from the gutter and truly make something of yourself. Like, I see these guys go on these podcasts and that, and they say, yeah, man, I'm just on the positive thing and whatever in here. But they're not doing nothing. They're not doing nothing. Like, no young youths can learn from them. You, watching this as the viewer, you wouldn't want your son to learn from this brother here. And certainly not me. First and foremost, furthermore, I wouldn't even want to be friends with this guy, let alone want my son to follow him. So they will try and get these people on these podcasts and that, and try and pretend and act like, oh yeah, man's on a positive thing, he's doing good and that, but really you're not doing nothing. Like, I wouldn't want to trade places with you. So these guys that own or host these podcasts and that, I know they know who I am. Yeah? I know they know who I am, but it's like almost like they're choosing to ignore me, and I don't care, innit? But I just noticed a couple of men have asked me like, yo, why don't you go on this podcast? I'm not asking to go on no one's podcast and that, yeah? I know they know who I am, and I know, like, if they even come across none of my videos, I know someone has sent them a video, yo, get this guy on. It's happened too much. There's people on my YouTube channel like, yo, you should go on this podcast and that. But the one thing that made me realize, yeah, they don't want to push the positive narrative. They don't want to push the fact that, you know, you can come from the gut and make something of yourself. So basically, man met this woman one time and done some little electrical work for her. Funny enough, yeah, so I met this woman like 4 years ago or something. Yeah, I was just riding my motorbike. I was coming back from like Essex sides, and I'm going down the A12, heading towards like A46 to go back to Edmonton. And I stopped off at like a KFC near Romford. And I was randomly in KFC, and I just started chatting to some random black woman, big woman, old enough to be my mum. We're talking. I can't remember how we got onto the subject and that. I must have asked her where she's from, or she asked me where I'm from. I said I'm from Edmonton. She said, oh, she's from Edmonton. I'm like, no way. I'm like, how long you lived? She's like, I've lived there for like 15 years. I'm like, I've never seen you in my life. She only lives 2 minutes down the road from me. We've never seen each other in our lives and that. Cool. Boom. I think we even exchanged numbers, because obviously I told her I'm an electrician and that. The next day, man's walking through Edmonton Green. I see the fucking woman. I've never seen her. 15 years this woman's lived in Edmonton. Edmonton Green's are local. I walk through there all the time, and that this time I was living at my mum's yard. This is like 4 or 5 years ago. I'd never seen her before until the next day that I met her and that. Anyway, I can't remember what this woman's name is. Let's say her name's Kay, yeah? I think her name begins with a K. So that happened like 4 or 5 years ago. But then randomly, one day during like the lockdown, during COVID and that, she hit me up. She's like, you said you got some properties and that, like, you're doing well for yourself. And I said, yeah, I'm doing all right. I got a couple of properties and that. She was like, do you know what? Yeah, I know someone that's doing a show for the BBC. Yeah, they want to get young black people that are, doing well for themselves and put them on this show. So do you mind if I forward on your details? And I was like, yeah, go ahead. I ain't gonna turn an opportunity like that to go on the BBC. So I was like, yo, forward on my details and that. A couple of days later, I got a phone call from a guy that was like doing the recruitment, or one of the producers for the show that's gonna appear on the BBC. And basically what it was about was young black quote-unquote entrepreneurs that are struggling during lockdown and that. And basically what the narrative was lockdown is hard for everyone, but allegedly it's harder for black people. So anyway, when this guy phoned me up and that, I told him like, yo, I'm not struggling that. I don't have a business, but man got property and that, whatever, in it, boom. And basically my story, my little come up story didn't fit his narrative. He didn't want to hear that there's a black man that's doing well. No, he wanted me to tell him, during lockdown and that, I'm not able to rent out my property, or during COVID and that, I'm not able to rent out my property and that. And I think it's not just because of lockdown and that, I think it's because I'm a black man. Like that's what they wanted to hear. I'm not saying he said that to me, blatantly and that, innit? But it's like, he wanted to hear me talking about the struggles of being a black man during lockdown, when I was telling him, fam, I'm not struggling during lockdown. Furthermore, during the proper original lockdown, I didn't even work for a whole year. And then afterwards I started working. When I started working for a few months, and I got this phone call and that, and then by then I had a new property and that. He did not want to hear that a man is doing well for himself. He wanted to hear that a black man is struggling and that. How are you going to produce a program about black people that are struggling during lockdown or struggling in general? But why don't we start producing programs where we're showing young black people that have come up from nothing and have made something of themselves? Yeah, that's giving the people them who's come from nothing motivation to say, yo, if he can do it, I can. That's what I'm saying. There are black people right now that do not, let me repeat, do not want to hear and want to see someone like me who's doing well for themselves, because it's basically letting them know that if I can do it, you can. And the people them are lazy. They don't want to know that you can make something of yourself, because it takes work and takes effort. So they rather just be riding this narrative that, yeah, man, it's hard as a black man and that. But it's not no harder as a black person, fam. It's not. It's not. All these obstacles allegedly that are put in the way of black people and that, I've never seen them. I've never seen them. I've never experienced them. And some people might think, because you lot don't know my circle, you don't know who my friends are. And some people might think, yeah, man, he probably has a lot of white friends. Blood, I don't have one white friend. I don't have no white man's number in my phone like that I could even no. All of my people them is black. So some people might try and make excuses. Oh yeah, the reason why he's got property, the reason why he's doing it is because he's white blood. The only fam, I ain't got no white people's number in my phone. Yeah, my girl's half white. Yeah. Other than that, man, I ain't got no white people's numbers in my phone like that. Yeah, so I ain't get help from people like that. But I believe that some of these podcasts and that, they wouldn't want to get me on because I don't fit their narrative. Yeah, like they don't want guys that are fully doing well for themselves. They just want guys that are kind of getting by, and probably because I might show them up. I might show them up. And then that program, I don't even know if it came on. I hope it didn't, because I don't want them putting out programs where they're talking about the struggles of black man. Make a program and show us black doctors, black stockbrokers and bankers and lawyers. Show us black man that come from nothing, gone to jail, and you get me, he's turned his life around, running his own business or got property like me. Let's make a program about that. Forget about making a program about black people who are struggling during lockdown or struggling in the, what did a man ask you to do? Make a video about the black rental market. I'm not making no damn video about no damn black rental market. It's all an excuse, man. So, yeah, man, I just noticed like they just want to run with this narrative like, yeah, black people are struggling and that. Not all of us. Yeah, maybe you, not me, fam. Well, that's it for today, man. Stay wise. Ton, no.